Hi guys. Very close to being finished with connective tissues. I just wanted to take a short little video to give you some tips on how to know whether you're studying connective tissues well enough to do well in lecture and lab. So just like I did with epithelial tissue, I wrote down all of the possible questions that I could think of. And I want to sort of show you how these questions apply to the different connective tissues. So when you look at a connective tissue, this one for instance, what kinds of questions can be asked? As I mentioned before, the question that people usually expect is just the simple one, like identify this tissue. It could be this one, which is loose areolar connective tissue. It could be this one, which is reticular connective tissue. And that's as far as most students will go, but that's definitely not all the questions that could be asked. So what other questions could be asked? I could also ask the general category of tissue. Remember, there are, with the connective tissues, they're all derived from mesenchyme, but then there are the connective tissues proper, the supporting connective tissues, and the fluid connective tissues. Good. So you have to do that. But then if it's a connective tissue proper, you also have to be able to tell me whether it's loose or dense. So let's look at a few of the tissues that we can run into. So what is the general category of connective tissue for this whole tissue? Ignore the red arrow for a minute. This is a supporting connective tissue because this is cartilage. How about this one, the first one that we looked at? That is a connective tissue proper, but is it loose or dense? Do you remember? This is reticular connective tissue, and it is a loose connective tissue. What about this one? Is this supporting connective tissue proper or fluid? It is connective tissue proper, and then is it loose or dense? It's dense. This is dense irregular connective tissue. So, and then of course, don't forget that we have our lone at the very end. This one doesn't seem like it would be a connective tissue, but of course it is. This is the only example you guys do of a fluid connective tissue. So you have to be able to categorize these. This is, of course, a supporting connective tissue, and this is compact bone. How about this one? This is adipose. That's the tissue, and most of you guys would actually know that already. But where does it fit into the organization? It is a connective tissue proper, and it's loose, right? Because this is basically what happens when you take loose areolar connective tissue and fill it with tons and tons of adipocytes. Okay, now, any special structure, like, of course, this whole thing is a cell, but what is the non-staining part on the center of the cell? That's a lipid vacuole. And this tissue has tons of structures for you to identify. This arrow is actually pointing to a canaliculus, plural is canaliculi. Don't forget that around each of these cells in this particular tissue, this is a chondrocyte, that's the name of the cell, but what's the structure around it? That is a lacuna, plural is lacunae. Okay, so any special structure that was labeled you are responsible for. And then you have to be able to identify the cell. And a lot of times people are pretty weak at this, so make sure that you require that you practice this. This one should be easy for you. What's this cell called? Well, this is cartilage, and in cartilage you are always going to call these chondrocytes. How about this cell right here, this guy right here? This is bone. That cell is called an osteocyte, but where it starts getting a little tricky for people is, what about this tissue? This is elastic dense connective tissue, and these cells right here are fibroblasts. Okay, so you can see this both in your notes and also in your textbook, what kinds of cells are there. This is dense irregular connective tissue. That's a fibroblast. This is loose areolar connective tissue. There's tons of kinds of cells in there. You can call all of them fibroblasts. It's a fine little fib. or interstitial cells. Either one is fine with me. And then how about this tissue here? What are those cells? Well, you have to know what the tissue is. That's fibrocartilage, so this is a chondrocyte. And then, of course, we have our last ones. Blood has two cells that you have to identify in one cell fragment. This would be an erythrocyte, this would be a leukocyte, and this is a thrombocyte. Okay? This is dense regular connective tissue, and that means that that is a fibroblast. So you're going to have to practice that. Okay. Now, when you can see fibers, and you often can, like here, you have to be able to identify the fibers. This is dense regular connective tissue, so those fibers are collagen fibers. This is fibrocartilage, so those fibers are collagen fibers. This, let's do a better one. This is elastic cartilage, so those fibers are elastic fibers. Okay. This is elastic dense connective tissue, so those fibers are elastic fibers. And let's go all the way back up to this one. This one has visible both kinds. This thick pink fiber that you're seeing there, that's a collagen fiber, but this thinner, darker one, maybe dark purple, that's an elastic fiber. And this tissue right here is reticular connective tissue, a loose connective tissue proper. What are those fibers? Those fibers are reticular fibers. It's the only tissue that you can see them really dependably in. Okay, and then make sure that you know where the matrix is. Anything that is not cells and not fibers, like this area right here, would be matrix. And then this is the one that students really don't like studying, and you have to, because I promise you I will ask you where these things come from. Like with epithelial tissues, with connective tissues, you need to be able to name a specific body location. So let's look at a few of them. This is elastic dense connective tissue. You find these on the true vocal cords, the elastic ligaments of the penis. This is loose areolar connective tissue. This is in the hypodermis of the skin, or the subcutaneous layer. It's a whole bunch of different places. How about our friend Hyaline Cartilage? Over here is Hyaline Cartilage. That is forming most of your cartilages in your joints. If you remember that term. It also is the tip of your nose, most of the fetal cartilage. How about elastic cartilage, the pinna of the ear? So you have to be able to tell me a specific body location. And again, because I didn't make you memorize all of the locations, that means that that will not be a multiple choice question. That will be a written question, because I don't know which ones you are going to memorize. But make sure, again, that you are specific enough that you get me Magic School Bus right to the proper location. Okay, so those are your pointers. And when you are studying histology, study as much variability, as many slides of a single tissue as you possibly can. And at the end of this set of notes right here, I've given you some good resources for studying digital histology, a histology page with printable flashcards, and then here's another one. This is the pathologist site. He's got a fantastic introduction to histology, and also some pointers as to why you would want to study, because it's got some of the pathology slides in there too.